All right, my name is Father Dan Zach. I'm a retired priest of the Diocese of Toledo, and I was at Corpus Christi Parish from 1982 to 1994, 12 years, and those 12 years I was a co-pastor with Father Jim Bacik, and we were really established the parish very significantly in those first 12 years that I was there. And then of course Jim stayed there for 30 years and retired in 2012, which was the same year I retired from being pastor at St. Richard's in Swanton, Ohio. Now, the co-pastorate thing at Corpus Christi is the first time in the history of the diocese that they ever had co-pastors, which means both people, both of us were assigned as pastors, and it worked out tremendously. We each had our areas of responsibility, and we worked as a team. And then we had other individuals who joined us. We had another priest, Father Tom Landgraf, and a couple of deacons, and then Pam Meserol became a pastoral associate and took over some of the responsibilities. But Jim Bacik really took care of the relationship to faculty, and also was in charge of the liturgy. So and he wound up establishing a chair in Catholic thought, and I was in charge of relationship to students and student leadership development, and also the facilitating personal development, and also educating for peace and justice. So those were my areas of responsibility. So I did all the retreats, we did all the social justice outreach, programs like Pizza for the Poor, which is still operating today, and our Habitat for Humanity work. During that time we started the tithing for different groups from the Sunday offerings. But that co-pastorate thing worked out tremendously. Here's what I like about Corpus Christi Parish. Corpus Christi Parish is really the crossroads of the church and higher education at UT. Its very specific purpose is to serve the university, the faculty, staff, and students. And thank God for the permanent community that was established at Corpus Christi to they help support the parish in its ministry. But its real mission is to higher education, and that's why Jim Bacik, having done that, the Catholic chair, which still exists, and there's a theology professor that teaches courses, and he used to have regular lectures over at Corpus Christi for adult education, and kind of help with appropriating the faith in a more significant way, and helping form some Christian conscience. But the 12 years that I was at Corpus Christi were the best years of my ministry as a priest. most significant, most challenging, most creative, because of the opportunities that existed to do the leadership development, to help with the peace and justice stuff, to help appropriating the faith and forming conscience, to forming faith community, to developing leaders for the future. All of those are aspects of campus ministry. But above all, you know, Corpus Christi Parish especially is really a classic place in terms of campus ministry across the United States. Why? Jim Bacik wrote the pastoral letter on campus ministry for the bishops of the United States, which came out in 1985. It was called Empowered by the Spirit, Campus Ministry Faces the Future. And it really set up a blueprint for campus ministry across the country, and has, I'm sure, made a difference in terms of the church in servicing university communities and higher education. So I would say some of the highlights for me of those years was being part of what I call a pilgrim church. We operated out of two houses on the west side of the campus. One was called the Interfaith Center. The other was the house next door. And we had our offices there. We had a Newman Club facility in the basement. The Newman Club was the original name of the student organization, and now it's the Catholic Student Association. But I took a two-car garage that was dilapidated there on the back end of that property and changed it into the Falvey Chapel, which became our weekday mass chapel and our place for small group gatherings. But our weekend liturgies were all held on the campus in the Student Union, and also at the Dana Auditorium, Bominati. So it was really a pilgrim church in the sense of we carried all this stuff over every week to set up, and we had to set up music stuff and all that. So it was really, we were on the go. We were on the move. The development of that chapel, which it's still there and used by the Protestant campus ministry. But then the other thing is the movement during those 12 years towards the new building, towards building a new facility and looking around for the right piece of property, and finally coming. I was not in on the actual planning of that, but a lot of the deliberations took place in those 12 years. But I left there in '94. That new building was dedicated in '98. So a lot of the preliminary stuff took place in terms of and by the way, that property where Corpus Christi Parish is, it was a Franciscan monastery, and it was sold by the monastery to a fraternity, and then the fraternity sold it to back to Corpus Christi Parish for use and development of that wonderful facility that's there now. But those were significant moments. The movement towards the building and having our own facility, and the continued development of those various aspects of campus ministry and how much better it became after having our own facility. And one of the treats for me was to, in recognition of my many years of doing the student leadership development, that committee that put the building together wound up naming a lounge. The student lounge there at Corpus Christi is is named the Zach Lounge. So, and I have been over the years since it was dedicated in '98, trying to keep it furnished and updated in terms of its how it's equipped there. Because of Jim Bacik's theological knowledge and his skills in terms of understanding the nature of campus ministry. He was in campus ministry for a long time at Bowling Green, and was exposed to campus ministry at Oxford in England, where he got his doctorate. And so he took the best of that and produced that campus ministry pastoral, and put that into practice there at Corpus Christi Parish. That's what makes it such a wonderful place. The continuation of trying to accomplish those six dimensions, and accomplishing its mission of reaching out to the university in terms of higher education. Thanks be to God. My favorite memory is just carrying a container over on one of these luggage carts to the Dana Auditorium, and also to the Student Union to set up for Mass. Everything was in a little box, and so you packed everything in there: the host, the wine, the vestments, your purificators, everything, your missals, your books. They did allow us to keep an altar in the Student Union, but in the Dana Auditorium, we used just the professor's desk and put a cloth over it and had Mass that particular way in that facility. So that's really my favorite remembrance, but also developing that Falvey Chapel. That was really a wonderful task, and that picture of the crucified Christ by Adam Grant was made specifically for that Falvey Chapel by Adam Grant, a local artist, and now hangs in the small daily worship chapel in the new building. But that was a wonderful development. Students helped with it, and then they were members of the permanent community, and that worked on that with some donations from the Falvey family. So that would be my favorite memory. Living out those six dimensions as best as possible over these next 50 years, really trying to form a vibrant faith community by the kind of liturgies, helping students, faculty, staff appropriate the faith, understand their faith even more so, helping them form Christian conscience more significantly. In other words, being a place where people can openly discuss various moral issues and come to some conclusion, regarding the forming of their own conscience. And that fourth dimension is the educating people for peace and justice. I mean, I always do the breakdown between what we call the 2 feet of Christian service. One is the actual charity, the giving of to people in need, whatever way, and the other one is the justice issue, being a prophet, being an advocate, trying to make some change, trying to change the system. Like the issue we're dealing with now in this whole systemic racism. trying to change the system so that we can try to eliminate racism in this country. But that's all part of that social justice tradition of the Catholic Church, appropriating the faith in terms of those areas of peace and justice. And then you got the fifth dimension is that whole facilitating personal growth and development, helping students to become fully alive human beings. And then the last one, of course, is developing future leaders, so that when a student leaves Corpus Christi Parish and they go back to home parish, or they go out in a job and take a job and join another parish, that they will become leaders in that parish, and they will have a sense of how there needs to be different ministries and how people need to be participating to make the community a full and complete community. So I see the next 50 years just continuing to grow in those different dimensions. They're not going to go away. They're going to be even more significant as I see things go on into the future. I just appreciate the opportunity to talk about what goes on at Corpus Christi. It continues to be my parish. I retired in 2012. Corpus Christi Parish is a place where the church can become a sign and an instrument of God's kingdom in the academic world. And I think that's a good place to be. So it's the kind of ministry where it's not dull. There's always people questioning. There's always people wanting to know more. They want to appropriate things even more so. They want to develop some skills to become leaders. And so I think that's it's a wonderful thing that there actually exists a place where that can happen. If a student doesn't take advantage of what they have to offer there, that they're missing out on a tremendous opportunity to help appreciate their faith even more so as they move forward. I feel good about it, and having had the opportunity to work with Jim Bacik, he is the actual pioneer in terms of the future campus ministry. He really set the pace by writing that pastoral letter in 1985, and it has made a significant difference. I mean, if you talk to people around the country in campus ministry, they'll tell you how much that pastoral letter has influenced their approach to what they're doing on their campus in terms of Catholic ministry. So it's a real treat to be able to have worked with Jim Bacik, and I think that's what I would say.